Are we going live?
Hello and welcome to your Wednesday podcast here on Fall Out of the Dream. My name's Andrew and it's a genuine pleasure to be joined by two of my very favourite podders, Kenny and Stevie. Stevie has come literally 2 minutes ago from the fans forum that took place tonight and has plenty of news to update us on. Big news, huge news, massive news even. Ginormous news. We also obviously had a statement earlier today from both Rangers and the 49ers group confirming that the takeover is taking place, which was a relief because I'd heard from several very reliable sources online that it was actually all made up in a dream. So that was nice to have that confirmed officially. Stevie, obviously we've got a few points to discuss and go through, but what were your initial, kind of general thoughts about the fan forum as a whole?
Well, Natalie is just asking there, what's the feeling coming away from it as well? Truthfully, there was a lot of information in there, a load of questions from the Copeland stand to the G51 project, smaller things perhaps as such, as well as the three key updates, which obviously we go for in the headline of the podcast. So there's lots to discuss. Andrew, we would have been on 5 minutes ago if you wouldn't have taken so long to write the headline of the podcast and then blame me for it, and then Kenny just sitting laughing in the background. But I think there's a lot of information to discuss. I think a lot of it's positive, and hopefully we'll be able to go through it all. And yeah, what's the feeling coming away from it? Informed is probably best how I would put it.
That was good. Obviously, we talked about this a while ago in terms of better communication from the board. Thanks, Stephen. Not you, the one who's in the audience. Yeah, we're enjoying the live pod, so it's been good fun, nice and relaxing, of course. Yeah, I mean, what we talked about was that we wanted improved and better communication from this board, and just the board in general. And to be getting this now is really good, especially when, as I think we're going to discuss, we've had some good news, and that's always makes it more fun to discuss. Kenny, we had the confirmation today as well that we have a new sporting director in Thelwell coming from Everton. Initial reaction seems to be quite positive. Everton have enjoyed the work that they've had done by him, and seems like a good professional level appointment for us, which can only be positive.
Absolutely. I'd never heard of the guy before a couple of days ago when the kind of story started to break. Did a little bit of digging on him, and yeah, you're right. Wolves fans really liked him. Don't know much about the Red Bull. Sorry, not the Red Bull, the New York Bulls situation. I don't know much about that, but Everton fans, when they've dug a little bit about him, they really do like what he's done. I've noticed that there's some graphics going about. You're in a group chat with me, Andrew. You would have seen a couple of the group chats. The graphics, I beg your pardon, that look really positive. He's brought their wage bill down, made profit, all that kind of stuff. It's exactly what we're looking for. And yeah, and on the face of it, it seems like a cracking idea and a little bit, out the box, I suppose, because I didn't see that coming. I had genuinely had no idea who he was, but looking into his CV a little bit, really impressive. So good. Seems a good appointment to me.
Yeah, good stuff to be excited about, right? We also had some other. I think is this leaked news, Stevie, yet, or is this official yet? But under the Castor partnership, Rangers will be playing in Umbro kits next season as well.
No, it's official. They announced it tonight. So, right, here's a question probably right on. We may as well look. Let's just start with the Umbro news, I suppose. And then I'll talk a wee bit about Kevin Thelwell, I think, as well. Was there anything mentioned in regard to what money or what the length of the deal was? No, there wasn't. We pushed, myself and Chris Jack went to the Rangers kind of employees afterwards who were talking about it, and we were told no information will be given on that. People had asked me on X to ask and find out. We asked the question, guys, sorry. The answer was it will be communicated in due course, and it was shut down pretty quickly. So we don't know the length of the contract. We don't know how financial it was worth to us. And it also, they did say that we will remain under the Castor bracket and will basically be moving to Umbro. So that is confirmed by Rangers this evening. That is all that was discussed. Very brief. We know that Castor have got distribution rights and rights to Umbro and things like that. So between the lines is basically a shift. But the really good news, Andrew, is it means my affiliation with them will continue, and we'll still get discounts for everybody on strips, etc., etc. So we'll keep doing that. We'll keep giving money to charity as well. So that is the update on Umbro, and I think that's a good place to start. No, I know Umbro have not been taken over by Castor. That's not what I said. I said they've been given distribution rights. They've got distribution rights in Europe and things with Umbro by Castor. So yeah, basically that's the official kind of update in line tonight. That was confirmed. Kevin Thelwell was confirmed in the fans forum and then confirmed by Rangers officially at 7:30. He will join end of season when his contract runs out at Everton. Kenny spoke a wee bit about him, and from my point of view, as I said this morning, Rangers Review, I'm really, really delighted that we've appointed a sporting director who is a sporting director. It's not a promotion. It's not somebody that's suddenly, a scout and getting a big bump up to being a sporting director. This is somebody who is qualified for the job, has experience in the job. At Everton, he's got quite a good turnover rate. If you look at the comments, which is normally where I go to from Everton fans, Everton fan media, everybody seems to be pretty positive about this guy. They're saying he's a solid performer, and they're pretty sorry that he's going at a time where they feel everything needs to be held together. So I take these things as a positive. Nobody's going to know how he's going to perform, but reports earlier that he seems to want to bring people with him to run the academy and things. So that might all kind of come together. We're going to have to wait and see how he performs. I don't think we can say for certain he's going to be this or that, but he's got a good record. He's made some big sales there. He's got an eye for a player. Yeah, there's been some that haven't worked out, but I think he's sold 240 odd million pounds worth of players when spending I think 100 million less than that. So it's around about those kind of figures. He's well in the kind of profit margins for doing that. He signed a couple of really good ones as well. So yeah, I mean, I think we can be cautiously optimistic on that, Kenny. I think maybe it's difficult to say he's going to be a massive success, mate, but at least he is. At least he's a sporting director, because you know what we're like promoting, guys from the staff canteen suddenly be directors and run the football club. At least this, for me, is a really positive. The guy's got experience of, I think, 10 years experience.
Yeah, and it's a great for me as well, the way we've done this over the last few years, just keep promoting from within. So to get somebody that's actually qualified and done the job for a number of years is a great idea. And you're right, though, there is no guarantees that the guy will be a massive success or anything like that. But going by his past experiences, then you would say that he's got a decent chance at making a good fist of this. And for me, it's just one of those things. I do tend to agree with you when it comes to get somebody in that can do the job, and don't let him work, learn on the job. Let him come in and actually take over. And by all accounts, as you had said, Stevie, he'll be in control of every aspect of the football side of things, the football department. And I think that includes the women's, team and the first team and the youth academy. So he's got a big job on, because there isn't I heard you this morning on the review talking about infrastructure, and that is where he has got a job on his hand. But he has got a job on his hand, on his hands, because there is plenty to do to fix our football club, and here's hoping that he is the guy that can help and get us moving forward. And I liked what he had to say in the statement as well.
Yeah, I like Paul's little mention there that the new guy's already injured, but I think that's going to be typical for us anyway, right? I think the fact that we've made this appointment early on is significant. Point from George Addison there from Twitter saying, should we assume that the 49ers would have had input to sporting director appointment? I mean, I suspect that's the case. I don't know if we'd ever get official confirmation on that, but obviously the guys are talking to each other behind the scenes on these things. Stevie?
Yeah, okay, so probably a good time to move towards the takeover and what was said, because that question, Andrew, put a wee star on that and bring that up in 2 minutes till we discuss the takeover stuff, because that all comes into what I would update you on what Patrick Stewart said about the 49ers and the takeover and the decisions they're making now. So it's probably a key point which was said. So takeover tonight was confirmed as in having productive conversations, and specifically naming 2 lead members of the consortium, Andrew Kavanagh and the 49ers Enterprise Global Football Group. That was confirmed. Oh, that was scary. Don't make my face like that. It's bad enough. That was look, you've got me all flustered now. So there's a potential for the consortium to acquire control of the club and inject additional capital. These talks are ongoing, right? So that was confirmed tonight by the football club, by Patrick Stewart, in front of the fans forum tonight. It was also released as a kind of mini statement to the press. So that is the first time Rangers have officially commented on anything to do with the takeover. It's the first time that Andrew Kavanagh, 49ers Enterprise Group, have had their name put towards anything officially. Now's the time to bring up this question, wherever it is, Andrew. Can we find that one? Right, okay.
I've got to do everything around here, honestly. It's shocking.
So, you made me have a big, massive head, even bigger than it normally is, and I'm all flustered. So this question here is quite important. Patrick Stewart said, and he was very careful about what he said, because they cannot break non-disclosures and they cannot talk about the deal. They have asked extensive questions surrounding finances, what finances will be put into the club and what finances will be made available. He did allude to this. They have asked extensive questions on what their plans are, etc. And these questions are back and forth. That's the nature of the conversations at the moment. They have enough to progress the deal with the shares that they want, etc. He was then asked on decisions like Kevin Thelwell, sporting director coming in, and Umbro and things like that, and what it was worded in a way that he said, what's to stop you doing this at this moment? And then the people that are going to buy the club come in and say, don't want to go down that avenue. Andy said quite clearly, he said, I'll be careful in what I'm saying. However, we aren't making decisions that aren't being discussed and checked with the people that are coming in to take over the football club. So basically, more or less, he was telling you, and he can't tell you directly, but he's telling you indirectly that the 49ers, Andrew Kavanagh, have been involved in appointing Kevin Thelwell, Umbro, etc., and they would have rubber stamped and agreed with those decisions.
Yeah,
and that's
something we talked about. I was going to say, Stevie, it's something we talked about previously in terms of contract renewals for players. Like those kind of financial commitments aren't going to be made without the input of the potential new owners, because it's making a financial commitment that they may not necessarily want to make. And by that token, you can absolutely say that a commitment like this to a new sporting director, presumably not being, told he's going to work for free or anything like that, you can absolutely read that that's with the input of the guys at the 49ers.
Yeah, 100%. He more or less, he was very careful about how he worded it, because he can't tell you and he can't break kind of protocol as such for those takeover things. But he assured us that they aren't making decisions now that in a couple of months will be ripped up and kiboshed basically for a new governance coming in. So I'm pretty comfortable that they are more than involved in what is going on. And I think this is a really significant step, Andrew, in terms of a first proper statement by the club. It's acknowledgement. You don't put those things out. You don't tell people or acknowledge the fact that we're actively in a takeover, because if this wasn't going to go ahead and go through, the football club would never say anything on it. I think tonight is pretty significant in terms of where we are and what is going to happen in the football club within the next month or so. They alluded to a deal being in place for that to progress. So I'm more than confident with regards to the takeover stuff tonight. Although they couldn't sit in front of us and say it's going to happen and they're going to put on this, etc., then I think tonight, going back to Natalie's earlier question of what did you come away from with regards to the takeover news, pretty positive on that front. For
Just
what they could tell us. So
yeah, exactly. As you say, it's not done yet. I wanted to bring this one up because I think it's worth discussing. Hagskiller says productive talks makes it sound like they're at the start of the process, not close to the end.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
If I think that productive talks makes it sound like they're getting to the end game, and that's certainly how I understood it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I guess obviously, to be clear, I don't know anything. I'm not involved in these talks. I don't know what's happening, but my understanding is that this is likely to be confirmed by the end of this season. In terms of the takeover being formalized, etc. I don't know for sure, but given the stage that we're at and given that we're now getting official statements as well, I would say we're a lot closer towards the end of this than we are to the beginning of this, given that this started back in November, right? So I think we're a good ways down the way, down the line on this one. But, if I'm talking nonsense, Stevie, please correct me. I always like to make sure.
No, you're not.
Good.
You're not.
Okay. Right. That's reassuring. Thank you.
Kenny and I spoke about this, Kenny, didn't we, last week when we talked about it? It has been ongoing from November. I think your window for this, and I'm going by people that are close to it. Chris Jack's reporting of this has been spot on all the way through. What he's told you, what has been confirmed tonight, is what Chris told you a couple of weeks ago, and we reported on, myself and Kenny, on this channel. From what Chris has said, I would expect the window for this to be completed between mid-May and mid-June. That is what I'm surmising. End of season kind of stuff. I would love, and that's a pretty big window, and I get that, but I'm not going to tie myself down and say to people that it will be done by XYZ because I don't want to disappoint people. If this deal is going to be done and confirmed, I think that's your window for it, personally speaking. And I'm like you, Andrew, I'm not close to this deal. I'm not informed, etc., but I do know people who are, and that's my rough estimate, Kenny. We spoke about this, didn't we, the other day?
We did, and what I would take from that statement tonight, and the timing of it, particularly the timing of it, where they have announced this at the fan forum, there is absolutely, for me, no way that the 49ers are going to put their name to this, or Andrew Cameron is going to put their name to this, without being uber confident that they are almost there. It's not an assurance, but it's a reassurance that it's very much in the process is very much way down the line, in my opinion. They just wouldn't take any risks with that. If there was still negotiations to be had, they wouldn't say anything. Why would they? Because you don't know how negotiations are going to go. So they are pretty certain now, I think, that this is very close to completion. And it's great news for us. And again, what you haven't mentioned there was at the bottom of the statement was this the talk about getting finance into the club. And I'm delighted with the way it's been worded, the way it's been kind of put to us, that there is, as I say, it's not an assurance that it's going to happen, but it's a definite reassurance and almost a point of making, how would you say that? A point of almost saying we're almost there. That's what I'm taking from it. You were there, Stevie, so you'll know better than me. But that was my kind of take on reading the statement and what you've told us already. So what you've added to it tonight is, here tonight, just kind of makes me think that it's pretty much done, barring any hitches.
Can I say this on this point? I've already spoke about it on Kevin Thelwell's appointment. See, if you want the blunt, honest truth, in my opinion of it is, they're already making decisions. They're already making big decisions with regards to running the football club. Do we want it done quicker? Well, I think we absolutely do want it done quicker. But with regards to managers and big decisions that need to be made within that timescale, they were asked that tonight, and they're well aware of it. So I don't think anybody would wait until takeover before they started identifying things that need to be done. So, regard to that question, I understand it, Jimbo, but I'm not concerned that they aren't already well aware of the appointments and what's going on. It was clarified tonight that they most certainly are, and they aren't disagreeing with anything that is going on at the club currently. So I'm quite confident they wouldn't have put that name to the statements, etc. tonight if we weren't in a positive place with it. Yes, it's still work to be done, but I'm more than comfortable that they're on board with what's going on, and it'll be done accordingly in time. So
the way I would put that very quickly to end that is that Thelwell is basically their appointment. They're not going to allow that to happen weeks before the takeover is complete without it being pretty much their decision. That's the way I would look at that. And in fact, I'm not even looking at it. I'm pretty certain of that, actually, that it just wouldn't happen.
I agree, Kenny. I think that's right. I've got a couple of questions that I think just relate to general club business, Stevie. I want to just quickly run through them with you. If you've got answers, if not, or what you're.
Can we leave? This is going to sound really bad. I'm not wanting to, but most of the questions can we stick to? We'll do the questions at the end, and then we can go through what else is said, because I think a lot of that will answer it. So sure. People are asking, obviously, on like the Copeland stand. I think that's one of the big things. People are asking, when's that going to be finished? So they're asking about the G51 bar, asking about the cantilevers and the sports bar and stuff like that. I've got answers to all of them, Andrew. So if you want to ask away, you can ask away, and then we can kind of take. If anyone else has got anything else that they want to ask, then we can do it that way. If you want.
I'm not being selfish, Stevie. These aren't my questions. They are questions from the audience. I just thought.
I beg your pardon. I thought
it'd be nice to throw them in there, given that it's a live Q&A, and we've got an audience who are asking questions, including members who we appreciate greatly because they can use stickers like this. So we love our members and we want to answer their questions. Like, I'm not going to be that selfish about it. I obviously enjoy the podcast and listen to you ramble on, Stevie, but I thought it'd be nice to answer one or two questions the audience had for us.
Ramble is such a good word. Right, go for it. I'm ready. I'm prime.
Great. First up is a question from DMAC. Any news on the club shop?
Club shop wasn't discussed tonight. I am taken from DMAC that he means the old club shop, as in the G51 bar. And yes, that was discussed. Absolutely was discussed. This is it. They more or less told you that plan will not progress. They said that they'd looked at the numbers, they'd revisited everything, and basically told us it wasn't worthwhile. They did not. They said that they would continue to look at ways which they could progress the stadium out with, but basically that plan is dead in the water. It was the idea of others who are no longer at the football club. I don't expect that to progress now. Now, remember, Rangers had all the warrants, they had everything granted, the council gave them the go-ahead, and it went dead in the water. Karim Varane, who was right involved in that, has now left the football club. James Bisgrove left the football club. So that is basically where they are. They didn't directly tell you that it was done and dusted and wouldn't be happening, but they indirectly told you. They said that we would continue to look at ways that they would improve the footprint of the stadium, including ways that they could get a working sports bar. That's what they said. I do not expect the G51 project to continue further.
Thank you for that, Stephen. This is probably more of a general question, and there's two other questions from the crowds here. David Cairns on Twitter asks any pointers as to where we are with a permanent manager appointment, and Stephanie Craig says, do you think Stevie G will come back? So I want to do the second question to Kenny first, because, you know, Stevie's been talking for a while, and then we can have a discussion about the permanent manager appointment as well.
Well, he's the favourite with the bookies, isn't he? But that means nothing. That's just the way people bet. So who knows? Nobody knows who's coming because it is the new owner's decision, effectively. So I'm always a big believer that there's no smoke without fire. But on this one, I genuinely have no idea. What do you say about it? Do you think he's coming back? Going by his own Instagram page, where he is stoating about the Middle East and in a very jet style way, I'm not convinced that Glasgow is particularly where he's going to next destination is going to be, but that's just a multi-millionaire enjoying his time off at this minute in time, perhaps. Who knows? Personally, if you want a yes or a no answer, then my gut feeling is yes. I think he is going to end up coming back, but it is purely a guess, no more, no less than that. But out of the names that are on that betting list, he's the one that I would actually go for, yeah.
Cool. I want to shout out this one just very quickly, Stevie, before we come on to the question of the permanent manager appointment. Blazing Blue 72 using one of the brand new stickers that we have in the club. Unfortunately, you can't see it on StreamYard, but you can see it if you look up in the top right-hand corner there. That's the sticker that Blazing Blue has used, and you can do that for as little as 99p a month. If you want to help us and help us grow and contribute to making me look my co-hosts look like mugs, which is always fun. Anyway, Stevie, sorry, where do you think we are at in terms of getting towards a permanent manager appointment, whether it's Stevie G or not?
I think we're probably quite a way down the line with that. If you were to ask me my opinion on it, I think Greta Steinson will have a lot of input on that. And now that Kevin Thelwell is in the door, and albeit he doesn't join officially until his end of contract at Everton in the summer, I think I would be amazed if they didn't know exactly where they were going.
I've seen Sean Dyche being mentioned today because he'd worked with Sean Dyche. I'm not sure about that. No idea. I just don't think he would come here for a start. But there was a little bit of speculation today online that it could be him.
Just to be clear, if Sean Dyche does come in here and we get a bad result, I will not be asking him any direct questions because he's a man not to be trifled with. So, yeah, if he does come, it'll be yes, sir. No problem, sir. But I don't see that coming. These guys demand far too much money, I think. So,
I just want to thank Bluebells of Blue for gifting 5 subscriptions. Very generous, mate. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's some free memberships for folk in the chat. So thank you so much. Can't thank you enough for that. Let's move on to another one. Obviously, very important that we can't see my face on any emojis yet. That's deliberate. I'm holding off on doing that because I don't want my face on the emojis.
It's happening.
But it's a good incentive for both Stevie and Kenny to learn about how YouTube works. And, if they want to set up the stickers themselves, they're absolutely free to do so. So, I'm looking forward to it.
Andrew, can I just say thanks very much to Bluebells Are Blue because the support that he's given the channel, I think, since day one, to be a member and gift memberships and that. And I think he was one of the ones that asked if we could do memberships. He wanted us to go live. He's been a big supporter of what we do. So I appreciate that. And it has It's taken a wee bit of time, obviously, because we're a new podcast in terms of only been up and running for about a year. So I really appreciate that support, and it's much appreciated. So I just wanted to say that, yeah. Little halftime at Parkhead, thumbs up, absolutely.
It doesn't stop being funny to me, so I'm going to keep using it. Yeah, make sure everyone in chat who just got a gift membership, please thank your generous donator in Bluebells of Blue, because that's very, very kind of them.
Andrew, can we talk about Copeland Road? A lot of people have been asking. A lot of people asking on the questions, and a lot of people asking about online. Contact me about when the Copeland is going to finish. It was stressed to me tonight by John McFarlane, friend of the show, basically. John's in charge of maintenance and everything else at Ibrox, and he stressed that they had to rush to get us back to Ibrox. So with that came the downside of things not being finished, but they're very close. Work will resume in the summer to finish that. So that's a positive. It's only a few games away. I know it's been a bit of a nightmare for people in the Copeland. So that is the update. People asked me to ask that question. It was covered anyway, but that was one of the big ones that people asked. They also want to know about the cantilevers, the project that the previous board had committed to, the Govan and Broomloan still to be done. The short answer to that is there is no plans for any immediate work in the stadium or around the footprint. That's what we were told tonight, and that includes the cantilevers. So I would say that for the moment is pushed to the side. I think just while they concentrate on getting everything done, and I think those were the biggest kind of takeaways for tonight. I'm not sure I've missed any. The three obvious big ones: Takeover, Thelwell, Umbro, are the biggest confirmations. And then from that, you had extra additional stuff like the Copeland, the cantilevers, the club shop. So I think that was it. In regards to the kind of informative news of tonight, there was a lot of questions, a lot surrounding my jersey and things like that. But I think that is the biggest points to take away. Hopefully that's the update for everyone.
Like, good stuff. It's all very exciting news. And yeah, again, hopefully, it's the start of us being able to do pods where we're happy about what we're talking about, as opposed to being miserable and depressed. So that'll be quite good. Quick one from Paul Murphy. What was said about injuries tonight as part of the review that's being conducted at the club? I know, Stevie, you've spoken about this earlier, that they're not waiting until this is concluded before they start putting actions in place. There's already been ongoing internal changes to how some stuff is being done. But yeah, I don't know if that was brought up specifically tonight or not.
It was kind of discussed. So I spoke to everybody I'd said on the podcast that I'd spoke to Patrick Stewart at the media briefing back in January and spoke to him about the urgency to realise that our medical department will very soon be completely decimated when Dr. Waller retires and the other gentleman leaves as well. So that was brought up tonight. They're well aware of that. They're working on replacements. They're working on a review of how they do it, basically. And that was kind of, they didn't strategize. I think that's the right word, Andrew. They didn't come at us and say that this is how we're going to solve it, but they were aware that there's people to be replaced in that. One of the big questions I wanted to ask, but because I wasn't there as a kind of my Jers member, would have been, when are we at the levels of normality for staffing and stuff like that? And that's maybe something that I'll approach the club to try and find out from Patrick Stewart, because one of my biggest concerns is always when somebody's left the club previously, we're 6 months down the line and that role is vacated and still. So I would like to see us kind of become a normality, like a blueprint. Somebody leaves and then within a few weeks somebody else comes in and they just take that up. So I think that's really important. But he did allude to the fact that there will be changes towards how they deal with injuries, and there will be a new medical team, including a new club doctor and things like that. So hopefully that can answer Paul's question. It wasn't strategized; they didn't say X, Y, Z. So hopefully that gives a bit of an answer behind it.
Cool. A little point from Broken here. If we all chip in and get the 49% remaining shares, can we make sure that Umbro don't bring out that honking strip? Wanted to get some quick views on the strip, right? We've probably all seen the pictures out there, but Kenny, I mean, it's like got blue on it and it's got a Rangers crest on it. Like, are you in favour of it? Are you against it? Where do you land on the proposed new strip?
Not for me. Not for me.
Right, okay.
Well, I thought it was horrible. It looked like I don't know, like an 80s tank top type thing. It was absolutely rotten. And I hope it's just one of those kind of things that you get where it might be quite similar to what it's going to be, but I hope it's tweaked and tidied up and stuff like that. Put it that way. But is that what it is, Stevie?
All I'll say is an official Castor, soon to be Umbro affiliate, that I think that Umbro and Castor are exceptional, and I love all the free things that they send me, and I think the away strip based on the 1985 classic is absolutely beautiful, and if that makes me a shill, then I'll accept that. And having seen the other strips, I think they're equally as wonderful.
That if that's the away top, it's the second top. I would take it. That's not for me. That white one. No, thank you.
I'm just looking forward to clipping that out.
I'm 55 and I don't wear football tops.
It is a remake of the 1985, I think, away strip. So you will have seen the pictures of the official photography getting done yesterday at Ibrox, and then that picture comes out. It's not by chance. That's all I'll say to it. I can't sit here and tell you if it's real and things like that. I'll get into trouble, but yeah, I think it's wonderful.
Anything to keep that affiliate, right?
Yeah, listen, last time the affiliate money came in, we gave £700 to charity, so it's not all bad. So from an affiliation point of view, I think we've given over £1,000 to charity. All the money that we've had from affiliate from Castor in the last year or so has went to charity, so we're giving over £1,000. So it's not all bad in sense of the affiliate, and during that time people have got 10-20% off and all that kind of stuff. So from that point of view, it's been pretty good for people.
Yeah, James, just again, this is probably echoing a point we've made already tonight, but asked, would the 49ers not have a say on the kit suppliers? Again, similar to the sporting director, I think they'll have had input into the decision. They're never going to come out and officially say, oh yeah, we talked specifically with this person and we agreed this. But again, it's a financial commitment. It's a big financial decision. Of course, the guys who are coming in to do the takeover are going to be involved, you know? So, one other point, not actually related to anything about the fans forum tonight. The women's team have got 2 games at Ibrox coming up. Again, it's going to be important. There's still a chance to win the league, but Rangers unfortunately let things slip a bit the past weekend. But it's good for the women to be at Ibrox. You know, they get to be a bit more, you know, on a grander stage, if you like. And given that the men don't have anything to play for, the women at least do have something to play for. So it'll be good to hopefully see them getting some success come the end of the season. But yeah, I think you can pay like a tenner and get a parent and child in just for a tenner. And so I think it'd be worthwhile if you're in the area and you've got a free weekend, then I think it's absolutely worthwhile getting yourself down to that. Let's have a little look at what people are saying now. Yeah, Jimbo, who's a new member tonight, thanks to the gifted sub, says news of the Umbro switch came out in December last year, so it's not really new. And yeah, there were rumours about it kicking around even back then. Given the takeover talk started in November, yeah, I think it's fair to say that there was an input there. So yeah. Stevie, anything else that you want to bring up that was discussed tonight?
No, I think that kind of covered all the main talking points from tonight. if anyone's got any questions, fire them in. Otherwise, I think we're good, covered the main points, hopefully. I can't remember if I said about what was said about my Jers. Basically, a few people were complaining that it's very difficult to get tickets, which is the same complaint. It's very difficult. Quite a few people asked tonight about getting season tickets, finding it really difficult to get tickets, and Rangers don't answer that. They're not going to bin my Jers. They're, it works for them. It brings in, it's a big money maker. I think it brings in the region of £2 million a season. So they're not going to bin that. So I think that kind of answers it. There wasn't any. There was a few questions like, we want to bring in. People were asking about the food in the concourse has been terrible because we're back to Elior, it still is bad. That was a point made tonight. So yeah, did they discuss taste of pies? They kind of did. So there was a few questions like that, and they just give a generic answer like, "Oh, we'll take your feedback and we'll add it in and we'll do our bit on that." But there wasn't much. There wasn't much else in terms of big news from Patrick Stewart or anybody that was on the panel. Andrew.
Cool. Well, folks, I think we're close to wrapping it up, but just wanted to finish off this last point from Bluebells Blue, who's been so generous to us tonight. Again, can't thank you enough. Long way to go, but happy we have an appointment in, and even more so happy we are making moves while the takeover is going through. Ready to go for next season, looks more likely now. And yeah, it's the fact that this season's ended on such a disappointing note for the men's team, for sure. It's really good that we've got something that the whole club is going to benefit from, and the whole club can be looking forward to as well. Because let's not forget, this isn't just about the men's team, although I think that's probably where our primary focus is, because this is going to help benefit every aspect of the football club. Just the stadium, the women's team, the kids team, the academy, everything within the club is going to benefit from this, because if you have more money, you can make more to improve the things that are there as well. And so I think that's a good and positive thing.
Can I say something on the women's team?
You can, Stephen. Yes, it's almost like it's your podcast. So I mean, I think you should feel free to do so.
No, it's not my podcast. That's not how we do it. Comments in the thing about scrapping the women's team and that, and the women's team you must have to compete in Europe in European competition, and also the money you spend allows you to spend more on FFP. Just to answer a few questions on how much we spend. A woman's annual salary at Rangers, annual per year, is worth less than James Tavernier gets for 1 week of his wages. We do not pay as much as Glasgow City, for example. So that's not conjecture. That's been confirmed by the club. So I'm not defending it. I'm just saying I think there's a wee bit of lack of understanding of how much it actually costs and why we do it and why we need to do it. So whatever we spend kind of works in our favour and things like that as well. So not a defence of it, just a few people were commenting and asking about the women's side of it. So I think that's worth upbringing. I know that it's not for people. I understand that. We get quite a good reaction. We'll continue to cover the odd kind of game from it and kind of keep our eye on it as well, because there is a lot of people that would like to see updates and things like that. But I am conscious that it's not for everybody. So I think that's what I was trying to point out for that.
Can I just say something on the women's team? See, when the American owners do eventually come in, perhaps not right away, but expect a lot more investment in the women's side of the game, because it's massive over there, and the potential and the opportunities within the women's game to make money is enormous. So I'm pretty certain they will.
I think on that, Kenny, they have been talking about doing a sort of British Super League. So that could generate a lot of money. And I think they realise that with a lot of teams, because it's not fun seeing Rangers beat Montrose 14-0 or Aberdeen 14-0 or whatever. There's no, you want the bigger games every week. When the level against Glasgow City and Celtic come around and Hibs and Hearts, these levels are good for a kind of even playing field in terms of, result-wise. Nobody thinks it's fun seeing them win 24-2, I think they did in a cup this year. So a British League, I think, would potentially be a lot more kind of favourable to people that are interested in it, that's for sure.
Yeah, completely agree. I think it's a smart investment to be making. As Stevie says, it doesn't cost us a lot. And
Is your microphone packed in?
Hello, can you hear me? Kenny,
No.
Kenny, listen to me. Yeah, I think it's it's a smart investment to be making. It doesn't cost us that much and is good planning for the future. I want to thank everyone who's tuned in. 4,800 of you and 25 have tuned into this tonight. And that's crazy to me that that's happening. But I can't thank everyone enough. Particularly want to shout out to the members. I'm going to let them scroll along the bottom here. Although, unfortunately, it's not actually updated because we've had several new members tonight. And so I need to go and do some more work. So more work for me, but, I'm used to that. That's fine. It's just part of my job. I want to thank my two lovely co-hosts as well. Despite the tremendous emotional abuse that I get from both of them, it's still an enormous source of joy and pleasure to me to be podding with them. And can't thank them enough. So Kenny, thank you as always, mate.
Get an emoji, mate. Get it done while you're doing the update on the members. And listen, my main take from tonight is the statement. I think most people will be the same, but I genuinely do believe that nobody's going to put their name to that without it being literally almost done. And delighted to hear it. And it was a nice wee statement to see whether everybody put their name to it. So thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Stevie. And thanks to the 4,900 people that are watching this. It's incredible.
Yeah, completely agree, mate. And Stevie, thank you for rushing back all the way from Ibrox to give us an update. It's much appreciated. I'm sure the near 5,000 people who are watching appreciate it as well. So thank you again, mate.
Yeah, no, look, without people watching, we don't have a show. So really appreciate it. Hopefully managed to answer everybody's question. Sorry if I've not if I missed any out. I don't think I have. I think, the major takeaways, as Kenny spoke about, the takeover, Kevin Thelwell's appointment, the Umbro confirmation, and the Bar 51, which we spoke about, G51, cantilevers, which we spoke about, and I think that's kind of where we are. So hopefully everybody kind of enjoyed it. People asked us to go live, Andrew. We go live, and it's never going to be completely flawless, but we hope people enjoy it. And people ask us, to create a membership, which we done, and I think that's well over 60 people that have taken up the membership, which we really appreciate. So they're helping the show. The more we can do, the more we will do. Got some really good, exciting interviews coming up with people, ex-players and things like that, that'll be divisive and quite fun. So I'm really looking forward to them. We're still doing our documentaries. There'll be one on Helicopter Sunday coming out. So these are things that people want done and we'll continue to do. So hopefully when Takeover, there'll be more news. Takeover, I've got a special with Chris Jack tomorrow as well, Andrew, which will go out tomorrow for everybody. And we'll talk about the latest on the Takeover. We'll talk about Kevin Thelwell's appointment, and we'll get Chris's kind of inside track onto everything that's going on. So that'll be available tomorrow afternoon, maybe mid-morning. So maybe go for about noonish, depending on how we are. But that's another thing people ask for. So we'll keep trying to do it and really appreciate everyone's support and everyone's hard work.
That's excellent, mate. And yeah, we'll be back with the regular Friday pod as well, oddly enough, on Friday. And yeah, we'll be, I guess, previewing St Mirren. I know everyone's very excited about that game, but let's be honest, it's going to be a good run out for some of the boys. Again, hopefully get an insight into who from the current squads we actually want to hold on to and who's potentially got some promise for next season. But we'll discuss that all come Friday. So yeah, again, now over 5,000 people watching us. Ridiculous. Thank you all so much for that. And yeah, until we talk to you again, folks, goodbye for now. The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the show.